Hey, what's up guys? Today, I'll show you a horror thriller film, Sinister, Part 1. Spoiler ahead, watch out and take care. The movie begins with 4 people lined up beside a huge tree, with masks over their heads and nooses around their necks. On the opposite side of the tree, a pole saw motions slowly, cutting the tree's large branch. The branch is used as a counterweight, and as it falls, the slip knot tightens, and the victims squirm as they hang. It's truly an ominous scene. In the next scene, Ellison, an author of true crime books, together with his young family, unloads the boxes from a truck into their new house. Later, the town sheriff visits him somewhat reasonably, urging the writer to move out of town and not write about the grim incident, citing that the town needs to forget and heal. But Ellison shrugs off the sheriff. He's desperate to repeat the success of his only bestseller, Kentucky Blood. He's confident that a book about the heinous hangings will be a hit, especially because a child of the tragic family is still missing. He's so desperate that he even lies to his wife and does not tell them that they moved into the very house where the tragic incident took place. While moving things in the attic, he discovers a box of old films and decides to watch it the same evening at his office. After setting up the projector and improvising a screen, he plays the film with a label, Family Hanging Out. It shows an aesthetic video of the family hanging out and going about their day in the backyard. Then it goes dark real quick after showing the horrific hanging. It shocks Ellison to the point that he has to grab a drink before continuing. After pouring himself one, he repeats the video, which shows the whole family. He realizes that they are being filmed from a distance, which begs the question, who made the film? And with one person missing during the hanging, where's Stephanie? To take things in, he takes a quick break, goes to the backyard in the middle of the windy night, and observes the very same tree where the hanging occurred. Ellison then goes back inside the house and spots his daughter trying to find the bathroom. After tucking her in, he goes back to his office and continues to play another film, labeled BBQ. This time it's a family of 4 by the lake, fishing and enjoying themselves. Then, like the previous film, it takes a dark turn. Their bright blue car is secured by chains, and inside is the same family by the lake, with hands tied, mouth taped shut, and gasoline poured on their bodies. Then, without warning, the car is engulfed in flames. Ellison shakily takes a drink after realizing that he may just have witnessed evidence of another gruesome massacre. He tries to call the sheriff to report his findings, but changes his mind as soon as he sees copies of his best-selling book, Kentucky Blood. His failure to write another success story would mean a disaster to his marriage and relationship with his kids, so he knows he has to make a new success for himself now. He strikes gold with another story of a possible massacre, and is determined to get the story out. Late into the night, as he was about to watch another film, he hears some noises and checks them out, thinking that it might be his daughter again. He goes to check her room, but she's sound asleep. He investigates further and spots a box moving slightly in a dim-lit room across him. Ellison approaches it and is surprised when his son emerges from the box screaming. The commotion wakes up the wife, and she runs to her husband. She spots him carrying their screaming son, and together, they get out of the house to get some fresh air and wake the sun up and stop the episode. The next morning, Ellison and his wife tease their son that it's not the strangest thing for them to find him emerging from the box. The son, on the other hand, claims that he doesn't remember anything from last night. He used to have some sleepwalking episodes in the past, but the couple thought he was past it. Anyways, the wife takes their children to their first day at school, before she runs some errands, while Ellison stays at home and continues with his work. At his office, he plays another reel titled Pool Party. It shows people enjoying the sunny day at a pool, and as expected, it takes a dark turn. The people enjoying the pool earlier are now tied to the pool chair and are slowly drowned one by one. By the end of the reel, Ellison notices a reflection of an entity, a menacing silhouette of the perpetrator. He pauses the video to take a closer look, but all of a sudden, the film catches fire. Ellison runs over and blows the fire out, but it's only able to save the first bit of the reel. The part where the unknown entity's reflection shows is partly destroyed. To prevent losing other films, he makes a digital copy by playing the reel and recording it using his video camera. After watching a different reel titled Sleepy Time, where 2 adults and 1 child are tied to their bed and had their throats slit, Ellison notices a symbol that was also present in the car on fire video. He prints it out and pins it on the crime board. He continues with his research late into the night, when all of a sudden, the lights go out and he hears strange noises overhead. Ellison grabs his phone, turns on the flashlight, and begins to check it out. He grabs a knife after the continuous heavy thud noises, thinking that there might be an intruder in the attic. He goes up the attic, only to find a snake that slithers away to a hole after being discovered, and childlike drawings depicting the murders with a figure called Mr. Boogie. On his way down, he blacks out after accidentally falling from the attic to the floor below. Later, a paramedic insists that Ellison get his leg stitched up in a hospital, but he refuses, stating that he's fine. After the paramedic leaves, a deputy, who was a big fan of his, asks for a signed copy of his bestseller, and offers his assistance to Ellison in exchange for an acknowledgement on his next book. So Ellison asks if he can get his hands on information regarding the Sleepy Time and BBQ murders. Soon after, Ellison sees the figure of Mr. Boogie present in every crime as he reviews the videos carefully. And just in time, the deputy calls and discloses info of the addresses of the murders. With the newly acquired information, he discovers that the victims of the family hanging out used to live in the place where the Sleepy Time murders occurred. While talking to the deputy and connecting the dots, the image of Mr. Boogie on his laptop moves as if to take a peek and move back to its original position. It gets freaky when he discovers a bunch of pale hands grabbing him when he falls from the attic. One evening, Ellison wakes up in the middle of the night after hearing some noises in his office. He checks it out, sees the projector and his laptop playing the same family hanging out video. He turns it off. After a series of events, the wife asks his husband to drop the story and they should leave town since it's affecting the family's mental health. Ellison explains to his wife that he's onto something big, a bigger story than his bestseller Kentucky Blood, and that it'll change their lives for the better. Meanwhile, to analyze the symbol in the murders, the deputy refers Ellison to a professor expertising in paranormal activities. The professor is familiar with the symbol and, in fact, knows some of the murders that have the same symbol present. He associates the emblem with the old and enigmatic pagan god Boogie, who would murder entire families and kidnap one of their children to slowly absorb their souls. Instead of being the act of a single person, the professor believes the murders are part of a cult initiation ceremony. The professor catches up and asks Ellison if another murder involving the symbol has taken place. Ellison pauses for a second and confirms the professor's suspicion. Around 3 a.m., Ellison awakens from his deep slumber because of the noise made by the antique projector. He rushes to his office only to find it empty. He figures someone might have broken in, since he makes sure to put the projector in a box and lock his office. He then grabs a baseball bat and takes a look around the house. As he inspects each room, the ghost of each missing child from the different murders that took place playfully moves around Ellison, just enough for him to miss them. They act as if they are messing with him as any child would do. After clearing each room, Ellison ends up back at his office, turns off the projector, then proceeds to his children's room to see if they're safe. From his angle at the door, Ellison can see his daughter, who may seem fast asleep. But in actuality, his daughter had an encounter with one of the child ghosts. Ellison goes on to lock the doors and falls asleep on the living room couch. He wakes up later with the baseball still in hand and begins to inspect his office. He sees the projector and film reels. Later, the young deputy visits him, and he begins to confide in the deputy about his paranormal experience, asking if there was anything strange about the family who died in the house. The deputy informs Ellison that there weren't any reports, nor did the family make any calls to the police about anything. Although Ellison tries to play it cool that he doesn't believe any of the paranormal stuff, the deputy tries to be a good friend who understands his situation and tries to calm Ellison's nerves by telling him the only logical explanation he can think of: that he moves in the house of the murder victims, that he immersed himself too much in his work to get in the right mentality, that he's put under so much stress from discovering a bunch of other murders connecting to the case, and also, the whiskey bottle certainly didn't help. The wife remains ignorant of the house's horrifying history until the daughter draws a girl on the wall and explains that it's Stephanie, a child who used to live in the house. The child went missing from the hanging incident. Ellison has anticipated that his wife will find out sooner or later. An inevitable argument ensues, but Ellison stands his ground and defends his actions, stating that it is all for the family's good. In the end, the wife still forgives her husband and continues to support him. Ellison hears the film projector start up and discovers the missing kids gathered in the attic watching one of the videos. The children in unison look back and signal to him to hush. The pagan god Boogie then appears on screen before literally appearing in front of Ellison. The sudden apparition causes him to fall from the ladder. Ellison destroys the camera, projector, and films by burning them outside. The wife joins him and asks what he's doing. He admits that moving to the house is a mistake, and in a state of urgency and panic, he shouts out to his wife to go get the kids so that they can leave the house that very night. After moving back to his old residence, Ellison receives an email from the professor about historical images of Boogie. After seeing the images, Ellison calls the professor and asks what the images are all about. The professor explains that the reason that there are few images left of Boogie is that early Christians believed that Boogie's images acted as a portal for the demon to cross from the spiritual world to the mortal world, and that Boogie could possess children who came into contact with these images. Ellison had burnt the films before moving back, so he asked the professor if burning the images would stop the haunting. However, the professor can't give him a straight answer. After deleting the soft copy of the films, he receives a call from the deputy, but chooses to ignore it. In his attic, Ellison discovers an undamaged projector and films, as well as a new film titled Extended Cut Endings. He tries to restore the films, but before he can finish, he receives another call from the young deputy. This time he answers. The deputy informs him that every murdered family had once lived in the house where the previous murder took place. After connecting the dots, Ellison thanks the deputy and continues to restore the film and play it. In twist of events, the person behind the hanging incident is none other than the missing child, Stephanie. As the film continues, it shows that for every murder incident, the one responsible for the massacre is the missing kids, who are revealed to be the killers under the pagan god's influence. After the film finishes, Ellison feels nauseous and stands up to check on his cup. He notices a green liquid at the bottom of the mug, along with a "Good night, Daddy" note from his daughter. The movie ends with Ellison finding himself, the wife, and the son restrained and gagged on the floor as he wakes up. The daughter approaches them while recording with the camera. She promises her father that she is going to make him famous again. She then murders her family with an axe. After that, she paints drawings on the hallway walls, as well as Buggable's emblem on a door. This is Daniel CC Movie Channel. Stay safe and enjoy your day.